Thing about Vital is it's not such an exacting type of synth, right? I can't really show you how to make these sounds dot for dot like I could in Serum. It's extremely hard, at least for me right now, to create an exact carbon copy of a sound. But what I can do is get you in the right direction. So we're gonna get some sounds that sound like this. So let's get into it.
Initialize.
Here we are on Vital. First thing we're going to do is we're going to be using oscillators 1, 2, and 3 for this. For oscillator 1, we're going to go to the glork glunk and select clicky robot. It should sound like this. It's an insane wavetable, by the way. And this is your wavetable position right here. You can also just click in here and switch it around, which is cool. So let's go ahead and bring it low. I'm setting mine at about 38. You can see the frame right there. It says 38.61. Like I said, it's extremely hard to get the same thing twice. Like, it's not a very exacting synth, so just get in the ballpark, right? So I'm setting mine at 38. Sounds like that. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a basic sustain ramp on LFO 1. Pow. Just like that. We're going to turn our frequency to 2 to 1. We're going to turn on oscillator 2, and we're going to keep it on the initialized wavetable. We're going to go ahead and set our phase and random to 0 on oscillator 1, and turn our phase randomization to 0 on oscillator 2, and turn the phase to 260. Should sound like this. Next thing that we're going to do is we're going to turn on FM oscillator 2, which is basically FM from B from Serum. We're going to go ahead and turn our wave morph to about 5%. Leave it right here and throw LFO1 onto it, bam. And we're going to turn our green dial to about 0.368. It should be up there. Just get in the ballpark. It should sound like that now. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to our effects. We're going to go to distortion. We're going to turn our drive up. We're going to keep it on soft clip, by the way. It should sound like this now. And then we're going to turn our compressor on. We're going to turn our mid band to about right there. We're going to turn our release to 33%. Should sound like this. Now we've got this beefy sound. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to turn our EQ on, give it a slight little high shelf, and give it a duck around, I don't know, that's like 75.8 semitones. This should just look like this. And it should sound like that. Next thing we're going to do is we're getting into the sort of what's kind of crafting this sound, and this is how you're going to be able to get a bunch of different tones out of this. One of the ways. There's about 3 ways to get different tones out of this. And here's one of the major ways of crafting the sound to get in the ballpark here. Turn your phaser on, turn your depth all the way down, keep your feedback at 50, and now check out your center. As we move around the center, you're going to see that the sound is going to start morphing, and it's going to sound pretty sick. Oh, that's sick. See, I like the way that sounded right there. So I'm going to put mine at 69 semitones. I'm going to throw LFO1 onto the center. And I'm going to move my green dial until I find that again. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go back to our voicing section. We're going to turn on oscillator 3. We're going to go to factory and get the first basic shape. Leave it just like that. And turn it to from effects here to direct out. So this is going to play our low end, right? And we're going to turn our level on oscillator 2 all the way to 0. Now we should sound like this. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to turn our phase and randomization all the way to 0 on oscillator 3. And we're going to turn our, on oscillator 1, we're going to go to the pitch section and turn our transposition to 1. Now we should sound like this. Now, the last little part here, what we're going to do is we're going to turn filter 1 on. We're going to select the comb filter, low high comb. Now this is purely up to you. You can kind of figure out what sounds dope. Let's see if I can figure out what sounds dope. So I'm going to throw LFO1 onto here. Let's see if I can move this around. Turn my mix to 66%, turn on oscillator 2. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to throw LFO1 onto the wavetable position of oscillator 1. And we're going to turn our green dial to, this is, you can play around. Like I said, it's not very exact. Let's see what we can get. But you're going to start seeing that the sound is becoming something interesting, right? Check it out. That's one way. You got to play around with your wavetable position and your comb filter to get these crazy harmonics, right? Change that a little bit. Oh, there's one. And then change your FM. Oh. Oh. Ooh, what you can see. The main part of this is because we changed the transposition. Now you can hear the sort of phase and pulse of the low end. That's insanely cool, right? And that's the point of these sounds. Like, just go ahead and play around with your phaser to get these different sort of tones. Ooh. So that's just another one, and it sounds completely different from the other 3 I made trying to make the first one I made. But now you're in the ballpark. That's how you make these sorts of sounds. I'd like to give a big shout out to all the patrons. You guys are what keeps the channel going. You can support for $1, so head over to patreon.com/slitlords and check it out. Freaking awesome. Boom.